Hello and welcome to our options presentation for our 2024 intake. I'll just briefly introduce myself. My name is Phil Newman and I am Assistant Head Teacher at Ashby School, specifically with responsibility for options and all things timetable. So what I'm planning to do over the next 15 to 20 minutes or so is talk you through some various things. Starting off, I'll just talk about the Ashby School Key Stage 4 curriculum, what the basis of it, what's involved. Then we can talk about our options pathway, a summary of the options available, and then a guide to actually how you complete the online form. Then we'll talk a little bit about the next steps. And then finally, I've just got a couple of frequently asked questions, which I'll go through. So starting off from that, straight away, talk about our Ashby School curriculum. What we aim to do is we aim to offer breadth. So we want the curriculum to be a wide experience as possible, to give students as much experience of the world as they can get. But equally, on the other side of that, we want it to be balanced. So we need to give students a variety of skills, a variety of experiences, a variety of knowledge that will put them in the best place possible to go out into the world when they leave us. And the last thing to say is opportunity, because what we're all about at Ashby School is our idea that anything is possible. And our curriculum has to reflect that in terms of when you've completed our Key Stage 4 curriculum, we really do want you to have the skills, the experience, the qualifications to go ahead and achieve anything that you want to in life. So that's our aim. And to help us meet that, we base our curriculum around something called the English Baccalaureate, or EBAC for short. So the EBAC isn't a qualification in its own right, it's more a combination of qualifications which experts in education and the government recommend that as many young people take as possible. So what's involved in the EBAC is English, so we do English Literature and Language GCSE, science, so every student will do at least double science, a language, so in our case our school has the expertise in French, humanity, so a choice between geography and history, and maths. So it's not just based on anything that's really solid evidence as to why following an EBAC curriculum is a good idea. So firstly, big study has shown that if you follow this combination of subjects, actually your performance in those key subjects of English and maths will improve. So I think it's the fact that you're studying language, you're learning about verbs and structure of sentences in French, that really helps you with your English. The fact that you're doing a geography or a history is going to help you practice and apply your science and your math skills. So those things really go well together to help you do better in those core subjects. A lot of research has been done looking at people in top professions, people going to top universities, and looking back, what did they do as their foundation at GCSE level that set them on the right path? And there's a really strong correlation between selecting this sort of combination of subjects and getting onto those top careers and top performing degrees, etc. So similarly with degrees, the Russell Group, the top universities in the country, this is their recommendation for what students should be taking as well. And so with all that together, the government has set a target that 90% of students should be sitting the English Baccalaureate by 2025. So bearing that in mind, this is how we build our curriculum at Ashby School. So we start off with the core curriculum, the things that everybody has to do. So first of all, everyone will study English and will go for GCSEs in literature and language. Everyone will study mathematics and get a GCSE in maths. Then double science, so everyone will study all three sciences, but that counts towards 2 GCSEs. As I mentioned shortly, there is an option to extend that into 3 GCSEs, triple science, but everyone will do at least 2 GCSEs. We've got a non-examine section where we still do PE, and we also look at personal development, trying to make sure people are rounded and got the skills to go out into the world. Then we've got our French GCSE, our first choice, which is a choice of humanities, whether you want to do geography or history. And then we have 2 options on top of that, where there is quite a large choice of things to choose. Now, you'll notice there that the French GCSE is just starred, and that is because we do understand that not everybody will be in a position to be successful at French GCSE. And if that's the case, I say, well, we'll be talking to your current high schools, your current teachers, just to say, are there any students who are not suitable to study French GCSE? And if that's the case, we'll be putting together something else. So unfortunately, it won't be a free choice of all the other options. It will have to be something that we can fit into that column, but we'll look at some alternative for those sort of students. So we're looking at things like pastoral reasons they might not have studied French for the last few years, or it could be that there's a specific educational need that makes language study particularly difficult. So things like that, I say, we're not looking to set anyone up for failure. So if there's a genuine, real reason why a student shouldn't be able to be successful at French GCSE, then we will take that into account and look for an alternative. So just looking at in terms of a options pathway. So there's the core things that everyone will be doing: the English, maths, double science, French, personal development, and physical education. Then we add to that our first option, which is whether you want to do geography or history. Then we've got option 2. So we'll need you to pick one of these subjects. They'll all be running at the same time. So I say you need to pick one of these. So there's art, engineering, food technology, examine PE, business studies, psychology, philosophy and ethics, computer studies, geography. So I say it is possible to do both history or geography. If that's the case, you should pick history in option 1 and geography here, or extend your science studies into triple science. And then you've got a second choice. Again, all these options will be running at the same time on the timetable, so you need to pick one from these. So we've got art, drama, engineering, food tech, textiles, resistant materials, graphics, 2 different types of PE here. You could do PE GCSE or PE Cambridge National, which is a little bit more coursework based, music, media studies, or again, an option in this column to turn your double science into triple science. So things to consider when you start making up your mind about options. Firstly, I'd say look at the things you enjoy. So what do you actually enjoy learning? If you're interested in a subject, you find it enjoyable, you're much more likely to be successful at it. Then the other thing to say is what subjects are going to help you in the future. So there's lots of subjects there which have got quite a practical vocational sort of lead. Are you thinking about something particular for career? Could you pick something that's going to help you on your way? If you combine those 2 things, things you're interested in and you know are going to help you for the future, that's where you're going to be successful. So you enjoy the subject and you can see there's a definite point in getting the best possible grade you can in it for your future. That's where success is likely to lie. In terms of choosing your options then, so first of all, as we say, the first option you'll be presented with is a choice of humanities. So that's history or geography. I'm sure everyone's familiar with those subjects. So just which you think you're going to enjoy most, which you think you're most likely to be successful at. Then we move on to option 2. So there's lots of subjects there you'll be familiar with, like art and geography, but 1 or 2 that perhaps you won't. So we do a GCSE in engineering. It's part workshop and part theory based. We have got GCSE in food technology, which again is part based in the teaching kitchen, and part theory, learning all about food hygiene and nutrition and things like that. A couple of other subjects you'll probably not studied before. So business studies is completely looking all about how business works, different aspects. Psychology, I say, fascinating subject. Just be aware psychology is a very academic subject, so there's lots of essay writing to go on there. Philosophy and ethics, you might not be familiar with. That incorporates some areas of RS, which you've probably been studying at the moment, but really focuses on people's belief systems and ethics of what is wrong, what is right, and people's theories and studying that sort of thing. So computer science you'll probably be familiar with, but it's very much the computer science side of things rather than the IT, being good at Word, being good at PowerPoint. It's not that. It's much more about how computers are put together in terms of the hardware and the software. So as I said before, we do have the opportunity to do both history and geography. If that's the case, then you can pick history in option 1, and then this is where you would need to pick geography in option column 2. And then, as we said before, if you love science, if you'd like to do extra science, I certainly would. Triple science might be the option for you. So it's an extra 5 hours of science a fortnight, but you come out with an extra GCSE in science. So it'd be 3 GCSEs separately in biology, chemistry and physics. Okay, so you'll need to choose one of those for option 2, and then on to option 3. Again, we've got a wide range of subjects here. So ones you might not be familiar with. Drama, when you're doing drama, you can either do practical, as in terms of performance, or you can actually look to do your drama in terms of drama production, so looking more at the sound and the lighting and how you set up a stage, etc., etc. We've already mentioned food. Now, just need to mention textiles. The textiles and art courses can't be studied together. So if you picked art in option column 2, you won't be able to pick textiles in option column 3. Basically, the government says there's so much overlap that you're not allowed to hold 2 GCSEs in those areas. Then we've got resistant materials. For old folks like me, that would have been woodwork, metalwork, that sort of thing. So it's very much workshop based. Then graphics, that's graphic design, looking at how we design magazine covers, film posters, that sort of thing. 2 options for GCSE, so there is PE GCSE, but then there's also the option to do a Cambridge National in PE, and that is a more slightly different qualification, which is much more coursework based. There is still an exam at the end, but I say it's sort of half and half coursework and exam. Then we've got music. So I think we all know I've studied music before, but I would only recommend music GCSE for people who do play an instrument or have singing lessons, because part of it is a performance. Then we've got media studies, which is all about looking at film and television, advertising, print media, that sort of thing, to really understand how things are put together to really appeal to the public. And then again, the option to do triple science. So you'll need to pick one of those options. Okay, now for more information, on our website, right next to where this video is, you'll find that you can click on a link to get to the options booklet. So in there's far more information than I've just given you on all those subjects. I really would recommend taking your time and having a good look through. If you've got any questions, please email our heads of faculty directly. All their email addresses are there listed below the subjects, so you should be able to see them. And yeah, they're ready and expecting a few queries, so don't worry about emailing them if you want to know anything about any of the courses. But any general questions, we've got that general email, keystage4options@ashbyschool.org.uk. If you email that, it'll either be myself or one of my team that will get back to you about any queries you might have. Okay, so in terms of submitting the options form, again, on the web page that you've just clicked on, this link to get this video from, there is a link to our online options form. So it's fairly straightforward. So I'll just try and take you through the process. So the first thing that will come up will be the choice of humanities. So it's literally on a drop-down list. So you've just got to choose history or geography there. I just keep saying it. If you want to do history and geography, then you need to pick history there and geography in option 2 in the next step. The next step down the options form is then option 2. Now, I am asking for 3 choices in preference order. Now, the vast majority of our students in the last few years while I've been doing this have got their first choice. We had about 99% who got all their first choices last year. But I can't guarantee that, because obviously if everyone puts down psychology, then I'm going to struggle to get 200 people into a psychology class, for example. So we would like you to put down just a second choice and a third choice, just as a reserve, just in case. But if you could make sure they go down in preference order, that would be ideal. So just put your first choice first, second and third out of the options that are available for option 2. So yeah, just a reminder, must be in options order, and do note, as I mentioned before, you can't study both art and textiles. Then we move on to option column 3, which is exactly the same process. So please could you just select your first choice, second choice, or third choice from that page there. All drop-down lists, and hopefully nice and straightforward. Now, as I mentioned before, we are expecting the vast majority of students to study French. However, we do appreciate that there might be a very good reason why that would not be appropriate. Now, we are going to be consulting the high schools to say which students should and shouldn't be studying French. But if you feel this applies to you and you just want to point it out to us, there is a little box that you can tick. And if you tick the box to say, please consult my high school about language, then a little box will come up. So if you could just type the reasons in that box, then we'll bear that in mind. And when I contact the high schools, we'll ask them about your considerations and we'll get back to you. Okay. So final thing is we have got a box where we can put a career choice. So if you've got some burning ambition that you really want to do something and you definitely want to do an option. So for example, might be your family owns an engineering company, so you're desperate to get onto the engineering course, then please let us know there so we can just bear that in mind. And I say it's absolutely fine to leave that section blank. So if you've got no real idea and you're just picking choices that you think you're going to like, you know, I'm still not entirely sure I've decided what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I'm 50 odd. So at your age, I completely understand that you might not have a particular career in mind. So it's absolutely fine to leave that blank. Then the final thing we need is just for you to let us know who you are and a few contact details. So first name, middle name and surname, then the date of birth. Now, one of the problems we have with this form from time to time is that the date of birth needs to be very specific in a very specific format. So it does say it there actually on the form, but it needs to be day, month, year. Okay, so it's quite important that you get that right. Please take care with email addresses. This is the other thing where we get slip ups is people will fill in the form and you don't get the bounce back email. So people fill in it again. We end up with getting in a bit of a mess. So please make sure that your email address is spot on because that's where the correspondence will come straight back. And please could you take care selecting the correct school. So every school that we have a normal intake from is on that list. And then there is one where you can select other. So if you could let us know, then that's really helpful for us making sure that we get all your details passed on correctly. If you're happy and you finish the form, I say it's all on one page. You can go back and change it. When you're completely happy, click the apply now button and you will get an auto email back just confirming what your choices are. So there's one I put through while I was just testing the system was working correctly. And that's the email that you should get back. So I'm hoping I've just got across to you that actually the options form isn't really anything to be scared of. It's pretty straightforward and simple to complete. So hopefully that should be okay. Now, what are we recommending that you do now? So first thing is, having heard this a little bit about it, is now have a look at the booklet. So click on the link for the booklet. There's lots of information in there about all the different subjects and the contact details of people you could contact at Ashby School. But actually, I think a really good source of advice is your current teachers. So if you're thinking of a particular option, just talk to your teachers and say, do you think that's a good idea for me? Do you think I'll be good at that? They'll be able to give you some sound advice. They know you really well. As I mentioned before, if you've got any subject queries, please contact the heads of faculty. And general queries, that email will come through to me and my team, and we will get back to you. Now, we are setting a deadline to complete the online options form by Friday, the 22nd of December. So basically, by the end of term, please, could you get it in? Now, there's no prizes for being the first one to get back. That won't get you first choice or anything like that. I won't be looking at any until the holidays. So it's one of my little Christmas jobs will be starting to get sorted in terms of what options have come in. So I say there's no prizes for being the first, so do take your time and think about it. But if you could make sure you get it in by Friday the 22nd, then that should guarantee you the best chance of getting the options that you want. Because I say I will start looking at it after that date. So a couple of frequently asked questions. So firstly, when we find out what options are allocated, well, we tend to do this in the summer term before induction. We get in touch with you before you come to induction just to say, here's your confirmation of the options that you've been allocated. Now, the reason we just hold off is I want to be absolutely certain that I can guarantee those options for you before I confirm it. So to be in that position, I need to be absolutely certain that I've got the timetable sorted, that I've staffed all the lessons for the next year, so I know who's going to be teaching in what room, and then I'm in a position to say definitely here are your here are your options. So appreciate it is a bit of a wait, but we let you know before induction. And then during induction, there will be an opportunity to see myself on the induction evening if you've got any concerns, anything you want to change. And similarly, before then, if you've submitted your form but you've had second thoughts, then please do let us know. I say if you let me know via email, I can look at changes that can be made, and if there's space, we will do so. And that leads us straight into the next one. What do we do if you change your mind? So if you let us know after induction, at that induction, or before then, or then we can change them and hopefully have them in place for the start of year 10. But equally, the first 2 weeks of year 10, we will switch students' options if there is space available. So quite often students go into something, they're not quite sure what it is, and they're a bit surprised it's not quite what they thought. So 2 week window, you'll have had about 5 lessons by then. So that should be enough to make up your mind if you do want to change. So up until the end of the first 2 weeks, we will consider any switches and make a move if there is space. But after then, it starts getting a little bit late. So you move to a new course, you will have missed too much information. The teacher will have to try and catch up all that 5 or 10 hours or something like that to try and catch you up. So after 2 weeks, we tend to say no to people who are asking to switch options. So I say you can change your mind right the way up until actually the first couple of weeks into year 10. Now that really concludes everything I needed to say. So I just want to wish everyone the absolute best of luck. And I say, please give it some thought and decide what options you'd like to take. Fill in the form, and then we're really looking forward to meeting everyone in the summer. Okay, thank you and take care.